Everything you need to know about the 2026 World Cup, compiled into a tournament guide format. 48 teams across 12 different groups will play 104 matches over 39 days, all fighting to win the Golden Trophy. In total, 1,248 different players will feature in the 2026 World Cup. Of course, every country brings its best footballers. But let's be honest, being the best player in Curacao, population 136,000, is not the same as being the best in Brazil, population 220 million. We'll explain why in a moment. Some countries could field a B team with the players they had to leave behind, and that B team could still make a deep run. This is true in every profession. The best chefs come from places where the most food is eaten. The best musicians come from places where the most instruments are played. If there's no sea, why would you need a captain? The best will always come from where there are the most ships. It's an unbreakable rule. Quantity breeds competition, and competition breeds quality. Is it a coincidence that Spain, one of the most successful sporting nations, also has the most licensed athletes in the world? Of course not. So the World Cup, especially in the early rounds, won't just show us which country plays better football. It will show us which country plays more football. To be more successful at this game, you need to play more football. Group A features hosts Mexico, and alongside Czech Republic, they're the paper favorites for the top two spots. Mexico is making their 18th World Cup appearance, fourth all-time behind Brazil, Germany, and Argentina. We got to watch them in a friendly against our national team last June. They play hard. That's their identity. They try to intimidate opponents with physicality, and the home advantage will serve them well here. Their key player is veteran striker Raul Jimenez, also a TikTok sensation. Milan's Santiago Jimenez and Fenerbahce's Edson Alvarez are other important names. For youth talent scouts, write down 17-year-old attacking midfielder Gilberto Mora. Czech Republic returns to the World Cup after a 20-year absence since 2006. Their biggest weapon is Patrick Schick. 37 goals in the last two Bundesliga seasons for Bayer Leverkusen. They have Premier League caliber players in Thomas Souček and captain Ladislav Krejci. Lions number 10, Pavel Sulk, is also excellent. They're a big team, literally, with an average height of 1.85 Naturally, they play every set piece high, including throw-ins. They qualified via the playoffs, eliminating Ireland and Denmark. All their goals came from set pieces. Our South Korean friends haven't missed a World Cup since 1986. Their best result in the last 10 tournaments was 4th place in 2002. In that same tournament, Turkey beat South Korea in the 3rd place match to take bronze. Crazy times. On a serious note, they'll bring some East Asian flair to the tournament. For the curious, the USA-Paraguay opening match on June 12th in Los Angeles will feature a performance by Blackpink's Lisa. The finals halftime show will feature BTS, Madonna, and Shakira on the main stage. Back to football. Kim Min-jae, Hwang Hee-chan, PSG's Kang In-lee, and Besiktas-bound Hwang are their key names. Last 32 is possible. Beyond that, it's a stretch. And the group's wildcard, South Africa. They're back for the first time since hosting in 2010. Hopefully they've invented a new instrument in the last 16 years. Their manager is Belgian Hugo Broos, who once coached Trabzonspor. Burnley's Lyle Foster is their biggest goal threat. Switzerland, coached by Murat Yakin for the last 5 years, will appear in their 3rd consecutive major tournament. They reached the round of 16 in Qatar 2022 and lost to England on penalties in the Euro 2024 quarter-final. The core is experienced: goalkeeper Kobil, Akanji, Zakaria and Embolo, all aged 27-29. Captain Granit Xhaka, Freuler, and Ricardo Rodriguez are in their early 30s. Amdouni, Manzambi, Ndoye, and Jashari represent the younger generation. But their biggest problem since Shaqiri is developing a special talent. I've always compared them to Austria. Systematic, able to switch between 3 and 4 at the back easily, but always a bit limited in raw talent. What Switzerland promises is a team nobody will find easy to beat. Another host nation, Canada. Their most famous name, Alphonso Davies, is again battling injuries as he has been for the last few years. He's a truly special athlete and one of the fastest players in the world, but he hasn't played 2 consecutive 90 minutes this season, and his participation is uncertain. Jonathan David had a poor season at Juventus with only 6 league goals. Canada's most informed player is Cél Larin, 9 goals for Southampton after his winter transfer, formerly of Besiktas. Buchenna and Oluwaseyi at Villarreal are other dangerous players. Truth be told, when you think of Canada, you look for an Atiba Hutchinson. As FIFA's World Cup ambassador, we might see him on the sidelines at Canada's matches. Bosnia and Herzegovina, miraculously eliminating Italy in the playoffs to reach the World Cup for only the second time since independence. 12 years ago in Brazil, their most important player was Edin Dzeko. Today, it's still him. After leaving Fenerbahce for Fiorentina at the start of the season, he struggled for minutes, moved to Schalke in the German second division in January, and scored 6 goals with 3 assists in 11 matches to bring his team back to the Bundesliga. Then he played 120 minutes with a dislocated shoulder in the playoff to help eliminate Italy. Dzeko looks like he'll still be playing football with a cane somewhere, even at 60. FIFA should study the football addiction inside this man. And finally, Qatar. At best, they add color to this group. The 2022 hosts qualified through the regular qualifying path for the first time in their history, earning their spot through merit. Their manager is Julen Lopetegui, and their biggest star is Captain Akram Afif. That's all you need to know about Qatar. One of the tournament's natural favourites, Brazil, will seek their 6th championship under Carlo Ancelotti. The Samba Boys are the only nation to have participated in all 23 World Cups. Don Carlo took over with 4 matches left in qualifying, and neither before nor after did they show spectacular form. Brazil finished 5th in South American qualifying. Still, with their strong history, deep talent pool, and a veteran manager who knows tournament mathematics, they're a contender. The player with the best problem-solving skills is undoubtedly Vinicius Jr. Captain Marquinhos, Flamengo's Danilo and Alexandro, Casemiro, Alisson Becker, and Fabinho bring vast experience. Arsenal's Gabriel, Newcastle's Bruno Guimaraes, and Manchester United's Matheus Cunha represent the middle generation. Endrick, loaned from Real Madrid to Lyon where he scored 8 goals with 8 assists in half a season, and Igor Thiago, who scored 22 Premier League goals this season for Brentford, are the newer faces. Rodrigo Militao and Chelsea's Estevao are out with injuries. I know what you're thinking. That Brazilian sparkle from the 2000s has been absent from this team for a while. They're talented, yes, but they lack both a star and a leader they can call the face of Brazil. Ancelotti seems to agree. He called up Neymar, thinking might need him, even though he spent more time on Counter-Strike than on grass in recent years. The tragicomic part, Neymar got injured the moment he was called up. We'll only see how serious Brazil really is when they step on the pitch. Next up, Morocco, the controversial Africa Cup of Nations champions. As you know, they lost the final to Senegal, but when Senegalese players briefly walked off the pitch in protest of a referee decision and headed to the locker room, Morocco was awarded a walkover victory. In Qatar 2022, they beat Belgium, Spain, and Portugal, losing the third place match, making them Africa's most ambitious nation. Brahim Diaz, Achraf Hakimi, Mazraoui and Ez Abde are key names. Watch out for 18-year-old Ayub Buadi. The Lille midfielder made 40 appearances this season and suitors are already lining up. His market value is already around 50 million and tournament performance could increase that. Scotland, making their first World Cup since 1998, topped their qualifying group ahead of Denmark and Greece. A huge achievement. Their most famous player is Scott McTominay. But Billy Gilmour was injured 10 days before the tournament and dropped. Veteran captain Robertson shouldn't be forgotten either. They lack a scorer. Their biggest problem. Aston Villa captain John McGinn is the top scorer in the squad with 20 goals. Haiti returns to the World Cup for the first time since 1974, only their second appearance ever. The excitement alone is more than enough for them. They have 2 Premier League players, Sunderland's Wilson Isidore and Wolves' Bellegarde. Not bad. And here we are in Group D. I'll move through this group quickly. We'll publish a much more detailed separate analysis to help you know our opponents better. Hit subscribe now so you don't miss it. Alright, our team. Turkey. We're strong, we're in form, we're ranked second, our highest FIFA ranking since 2017. We haven't lost any of our last 6 official matches before the tournament, scoring 16 and conceding only 4. Let me share what the foreign press says about us. Sports Illustrated described us as better than people think. They noted we've only lost 2 matches since 2025, one friendly against Mexico and one against Spain. They summarized our qualifying and playoff performance as easier than expected. They named Keenan and Arda Güler as the 2 most dangerous players, but also highlighted Barış Alper as an overlooked talent. For weaknesses, they noted the lack of a top-class striker. Good point. They also mentioned inexperience. Both the team and our coach are making their World Cup debut. Most foreign sources give us around 80% chance of reaching the round of 32. We all believe we'll advance, but matches are played on the pitch. If we give our best performance, we have the power to achieve much more than just advancing from the group. Germany, Europe's most successful World Cup representative, isn't among the strongest favourites this time, but that might actually work to their advantage. They don't have the squad quality of England or France. But remember the last major tournament. The team with the strongest game, not the strongest squad, won. And Germany was the team that challenged Spain the most. Germany has participated in 21 of 23 World Cups, second only to Brazil. With 4 championships, they share second place with Italy, and with 8 finals appearances, they've been in more finals than anyone. It might sound strange for a 37-year-old manager, but Julian Nagelsmann is among the most experienced top-level coaches in the tournament. The massive experience of 40-year-old Manuel Neuer is here for his 5th World Cup. Jamal Musiala recovering from injury is a big development. The Musiala-Wirtz duo provides midfield richness that arguably no other team except France has. Leroy Sané's one-on-one ability is also a factor. Their top scorer in qualifying was Nick Woltemade with 4 goals. But we might see Havertz playing as a false 9 at the tournament. While they don't have a classic number 9, Woltemade, Dortmund's Bayer, and Stuttgart's Undav all had excellent seasons. Germany has a strong starting 11 on paper, but the bench is thin. 18-year-old Leonard Karl is likely to get significant minutes. Not calling up Karim Adeyemi could come back to haunt the young coach. Serge Gnabry is out with injury. A true football veteran, Enner Valencia. For his sake, we should also watch Ecuador's matches. The king is 36 years old, and if he scores at this tournament, he'll join a special club of players who've scored in 3 different World Cups. Ecuador's ambition isn't just to advance from the group. They are capable of more. Chelsea's Moises Caicedo, Milan's Estupinan, PSG's William Pacho, and Arsenal's Piero Hincapié are key players. Young talent Kendry Páez, owned by Chelsea, is one to watch. Ecuador is extremely difficult to score against. They conceded only 5 goals in 18 South American qualifiers, finishing second behind Argentina. They are unbeaten in 17 matches under coach Sebastian Beccacheche, who trained under Jorge Sampaoli. Ivory Coast has been somewhat distant from their former glory since Drogba's retirement, but they've built a strong new squad. They won the 2024 AFCON. They're making their 4th World Cup appearance, seeking their first knockout stage appearance. Manchester United's Amad Diallo on the right, and 19-year-old Yan Diomande on the left, who had an excellent season for Leipzig, could fetch over 80 million if he has a good tournament. Inter's Angan Boni chose Ivory Coast after a long wait for a France call-up. Singo, Olai, Agbadou, Yahia Fofana, Nicolas Pepe, and Jean-Michel Seri are familiar names. A dangerous team, but they lack a player skilled at breaking down compact defenses, which will eventually stop them. Curaçao, with a population of roughly 56,000, obliterated Iceland's 2018 record for the smallest nation to qualify for the tournament. Unless a miracle happens, this will remain their greatest achievement. Their luck wasn't on their side with the draw. Their coach is 78-year-old Dick Advocat, and their captain is Leandro Bacuna, who plays for Igdir FK. I don't think you need to know much more about Curaçao. Group F looks the most balanced on paper. The favorite is clearly the Netherlands. You wish Louis van Gaal's health had allowed him to be in charge like in 2022. They played one of the best World Cup matches against Argentina. Good news, Van Gaal beat cancer. Bad news, Ronald Koeman is in charge. He's been coaching for 25 years. His last major success was winning the Eredivisie with PSV in 2007. Still, the Netherlands is the Netherlands. At worst, they are quarter-final contenders. Interestingly, Captain Virgil van Dijk is only seeing his 2nd World Cup. He couldn't make the squad in 2014, and the Netherlands didn't qualify in 2018. Their biggest absences: Javi Simons with an ACL injury, and Matthijs de Ligt, who hasn't played since December. Jurrien Timber and Frenkie de Jong's situations are uncertain. Defense and midfield are strong, but up front, the Netherlands becomes somewhat ordinary. 32-year-old Memphis Depay, Cody Gakpo, and Doniel Malen form the ideal attack. They shouldn't struggle to dominate this group, but we'll see what comes after. France, having seen 2 finals and 1 championship in the last 2 tournaments, is a natural favorite and ranks first among all 48 teams in market value. Didier Deschamps will step down after this World Cup, and his popularity among the players will provide extra motivation, as if they needed it. Deschamps has reassembled the squad for one last dance, barring a few exceptions. Rabiot had a good season at Milan. Kante regained his form at Fenerbahce. The Hernandez brothers are here, and of course, Mbappe. Hugo Lloris has been replaced by Maignan, Rafael Varane by Saliba and Konate. With Griezmann retiring from international duty, Ryan Cherki and Desire Du have been integrated. They're not the same player, but both are immense talents. Michael Olise's exceptional form will further boost France's attacking productivity. The biggest question: who plays up front? As we know from the last 2 World Cups, Mbappe is far more effective on the left wing, especially when he has a target man like Giroud to connect with. Giroud is gone, but Ousmane Dembele has proven for 2 years how elite he can be in that role. Yet Deschamps prefers Marcus Thuram or Mateta as more classic number 9s, or plays Mbappe directly. He's never tried Dembele there. Maybe his dream number 9 was Ekitike. But he's out long-term with an Achilles tendon rupture. You can't teach a coach who's seen 2 World Cup finals. Deschamps will do what he knows. But for France, anything less than the final will be considered failure. They have so many top-level players that even when they don't play well, they keep you glued to the screen. Even now, trying to pick an 11 from France's 6-man squad is a fun challenge. Norway has found their golden generation. They're back for the first time since 1998. Despite missing the last two major tournaments, Stale Solbakken has been in charge since 2020, and that stability finally paid off. They swept their qualifying group, which included Italy. 8 matches, 8 wins, 37 goals scored, 5 conceded, by far the most successful team in European qualifying. There's this guy called Haaland. Maybe you've heard of him? He's scored 28 goals in his last 18 international matches. 28 goals. Solbakken switches between 4-3-3 and 4-4-2 depending on the opponent. When playing 2 up front, Haaland's partner is Soloth, who's adapted brilliantly to a super sub role at Atletico over the last 2 seasons. Odegaard is there. Even if he didn't have his best season due to injuries, they have young talents like Antonio Nusa, Oscar Bob, and Schjelderup. Norway is a team no big favourite will want to draw. Senegal, who won the AFCON on the pitch but lost it at the table, have only lost once under Pape Thiaw in 23 matches, a friendly against Brazil. It's hard to name one standout star, but there are plenty of familiar names. Sadio Mane and Captain Koulibaly are the most experienced. Everton's Ndiaye, Villarreal's Pepe, Bayern's Nicholas Jackson, and Tottenham's Pape Sarr are important players. Galatasaray's Ismail Jacobs and Samsunspor's Cherif Ndiaye are also in the squad. They lack a creative playmaker, but their physical power won't be easy to handle. Our neighbour Iraq quietly booked their second ever World Cup ticket, and we barely noticed. Since 1986, they're back. Ayman Hussein is their top scorer. The team is notable for their low PPDA rate. Just kidding. I made that up. We don't know how Iraq plays. Watch out for anyone who pretends they do. Defending champion Argentina is in a better position than 4 years ago, though that doesn't guarantee another title. In the last 4 years, Messi has turned 38, but almost every other Argentine player has improved. Enzo, McAllister, Julian Alvarez have matured. Nico Paz, Nico Gonzalez, and Almada have been integrated. Their qualifying performance was solid, 38 points, clear top of the table. Lionel Scaloni has been in charge since 2018, the third longest tenured coach after Deschamps and Croatia's Zlatko Dalic. The biggest question has been their over-reliance on Messi for creativity. But I know what you're thinking. If there's one player in the world to be dependent on, it's Messi. Leo is dealing with a hamstring injury but is expected to be ready for the group stage. Romero is another injury concern. Can Messi carry this team on his back again like he did 4 years ago? Who knows? Maybe football owes him not 1, but 2 World Cups. Finally, Austria returns to the World Cup after 28 years. Last seen in France 98. They have a 3rd place finish from 1954, but back then the tournament had only 16 teams. Under Ralf Rangnick, Austria will be one of the best pressing teams in the tournament. They have the perfect physically strong squad for it. One of the reasons I compare them to Switzerland is their many Bundesliga-based players. Another is the relative shortage of special talent. Baumgartner, Konrad Leimer, and Sabitzer are all important, but all soldiers, not artists. Captain David Alaba was the highest level representative of this profile in his prime, and he'll be on the pitch one last time. Their most special player is still 37-year-old Marko Arnautovic, who was also their top scorer in qualifying. Maybe 20-year-old Paul Warner can help in that department. Speaking of special talent, Algeria is lucky geographically. Their goalkeeper is called, let's not, 35-year-old Mahrez had a good season at Al Ahly and remains their most important creator. Mohamed Amoura scored 10 goals in qualifying to carry the scoring load. Another important name, 20-year-old Ibrahim Maza, who plays for Leverkusen. They call him Maradona. Algeria has only lost once in their last 13 matches, to Nigeria in the AFCON quarter-final. Their form is solid. Jordan is one of the first-time World Cup participants. We don't know much about them either, but they've clearly improved. Al Ramta's Musa Al Tamari is their biggest goal hope. If Jordan can even score a goal at this tournament, it would be a huge joy for them. One of the biggest stories of the tournament is undoubtedly whether Cristiano Ronaldo can achieve a fairy tale ending in his last World Cup. We said the same thing in 2022, but the king proved us wrong. So let's put it this way. This will most likely be his last chance to win the trophy. Portugal has a truly fantastic squad. The midfield of Vitinha, João Neves, Bruno Fernandes, and Bernardo Silva is their strongest area. They didn't even call up Palhinha. While Al Nassr's Ronaldo had a good season alongside him, how much they can trust João Felix is a critical question. Pedro Neto and Rafael Leao, the other wingers, have been inconsistent. Fenerbahce's Nelson Semedo is also in the squad. Roberto Martinez, in his third World Cup, is a vastly experienced manager. Winning the UEFA Nations League by beating Spain has boosted confidence in both Martinez and the team. What about Ronaldo? He only scored 30 goals this season. Only because he's surpassed that number in 14 different seasons in his career. Ronaldo's biggest handicap now is that age doesn't allow the 3 games per week tempo. We saw the effects at the last European Championship where he finished goalless. But we're talking about a man who's mentioned in the greatest athlete of all time debate. Maybe he's found a new diet or regeneration method to stay fresher. Colombia, reaching their peak with a quarter-final led by James Rodriguez in 2014, will try to repeat that success. 12 years have passed, and James is still in the squad. Luckily, he plays in MLS, so he doesn't have to travel far. Maybe it's because of his baby face, but James looks physically ageless. His game, however, has aged significantly. Luis Diaz had a fantastic season at Bayern Munich with 26 goals and 19 assists. Luis Suarez, no, not that one, was the Portuguese league's top scorer with 28 goals. Davinson is of course in the squad, but John Duran and Aspirilla couldn't make the 26-man cut. DR Congo returns to the tournament for the second time since independence in 1960. Though they previously participated under the name Zaire. Newcastle's Yohan Wissa is their most recognized player. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who hoped to play for England until age 27, is another important name. Simon Banza, whom we remember from Trabzonspor, and Arthur Masuaku, whom Besiktas fans prefer to forget, are also in the squad. Cedric Bakambu and Gael Kakuta are other players who've passed through Turkish football. Uzbekistan, making their first World Cup appearance since the Soviet Union dissolved, is coached by Fabio Cannavaro. Manchester City's Abdulkadir Kusanov is naturally their most famous player, but Başakşehir's Shomurodov and Abosbek Faizullayev have also had very good seasons. They have upset potential. And then there's England, a team that can fill the drama quota of an entire tournament by themselves. Expectations are naturally sky high. Even under Southgate, they reached 2 European finals and a quarter-final in Qatar 2022. But if they fail, Thomas Tuchel's decisions will be loudly criticized. The German coach didn't call up Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, Trent Alexander-Arnold, or Harry Maguire, and was quite blunt in saying their performances were insufficient. Grealish and Ben White are out through injury. England finished qualifying with 8 wins from 8, 22 goals scored, none conceded. Tuchel hasn't lost an official match yet. Harry Kane's form, finishing the season with 61 goals, is a smiling factor for the English. The last player to reach that number was Cristiano Ronaldo in 2014 to 15. Behind Kane, Saka, Rashford, and Bellingham form a solid trio. Jude didn't have a great season at Real Madrid. This tournament will be a major challenge for him too. Can the English bring the Golden Trophy home after 60 years? Since Yugoslavia's breakup, Croatia has only missed the 2010 World Cup. They won silver in Russia 2018 and bronze in Qatar 2022. The squad has been reassembled with a few absences. 40-year-old veteran Luka Modric is here. 7-year-old Ivan Perisic, returning from an ACL injury and regaining form, is here. 34-year-old Kramaric and 32-year-old Kovacic are here. Livakovic, famous for his penalty saves in World Cups, is back in goal. Brozovic is gone. He retired from international duty after Euro 2024. 19-year-old centre-back Luka Vuskovic, on loan at Hamburg, is one of the tournament's most promising young talents. Martin Baturina had a good season at Como. You can be sure Zlatko Dalic has a plan. Ghana is coached by Alex Ferguson's legendary assistant, Carlos Queiroz. But he wasn't in charge during qualifying. He took over just 2 months before the tournament. The previous coach, Otto Addo, was sacked after conceding 5 against Austria in a friendly, despite topping the qualifying group. Ghana's most dangerous player is Manchester City's Antoine Semenyo. 34-year-old captain Jordan Ayew was their top scorer in qualifying. Mohamed Kudus missing the tournament through injury is a sour note for Ghana. And our last team, Panama, making their second appearance since 2018. Their most valuable player is Besiktas Amir Murillo. They call him the Panamanian Cafu. Midfielder Carrasquilla is also a talented player. Their realistic goal is to not be an easy opponent. Now we know much more about the teams, and we're ready. After 39 days, we'll see who lifts the golden trophy. Thanks for watching. Stay with us on the World Cup journey. Goodbye.